Hi, my name is Abby Kumar, and I'm going to start this off with a question. How many of you in the audience love yourselves? You can raise your hand if you do. I won't judge. You see, I always knew my answer to that question growing up. In elementary school assembly, some organization would go up to the stage and ask us, "Are you proud of who you are?" And my hand would shoot up so quickly that I thought my arm would fall off. Back then, I loved myself so much. For the first 12 years of my life, I was surrounded by positivity, and I reflected it. No matter where I went, I would get compliments over how skinny I was, my hair, my intelligence, and so much more. I couldn't meet an Indian auntie without them squeezing my cheeks and telling me that they wish their daughters were more like me. And every compliment just made me feel more and more happy with who I was. Growing up, I was truly myself. I rarely found myself worried about what others thought about me because I knew that no matter what, I was happy with who I was, and I wasn't the only one who thought so. My childhood felt like a dream where my biggest problem was convincing my parents to let me watch Nickelodeon for another 30 minutes or to let me stay up past bedtime a little bit. But the thing was, as I grew older, I realized that there was so much more to be worried about. According to the Stage of Life organization, 95% of teens have felt insecurities in their lives. 95%. So much so that there's a whole term for it: low self-esteem, a disorder where an individual views themselves as inadequate, unlovable, or incompetent. Never in a million years would my younger self have ever thought that I would consider that term applicable to me. And here's the thing, it doesn't just happen all of a sudden. You don't just love who you are your whole life and then wake up one morning and decide that you hate yourself. It's a slow path, most of which happens before you even realize it. It started off just as slowly for me, with a small comment from someone that my voice was annoying. All of a sudden, I felt as if I couldn't speak because all I could focus on was what I was doing wrong, why people didn't like my voice. To be honest with you, that comment, made in the 6th grade, has stuck with me until today. For years, I avoided public speaking, terrified that people would hate listening to me because of my voice. Even speaking here today is a struggle, and although I filmed this in advance, I can guarantee you that before this live stream today, I was probably worrying just the same if people would find my voice annoying. While that was one of my first insecurities, it definitely wasn't my last. Over the years, I found myself slowly hating more and more parts of me. What were once my favorite things about myself came under the extreme scrutiny of my mind and would never pass my test of perfection. This list was never ending. My skin, my thighs, my nose, my eyes, even my teeth are all things I wished I could change. And these thoughts didn't just exist in my mind. They were reflected everywhere around me. No matter where I looked, I felt as if I only saw people who were better than me, whether they were prettier, smarter, skinnier, etc. When I turned on the TV, I would see people who were so much funnier and kinder than me. When I walked the streets, I saw perfect models wearing clothes I knew I would look horrible in. Even when I attended school, everyone seemed to talk about their amazing accomplishments, and I would feel worthless. I felt myself just sludging my way through life, not even experiencing joy in anything, just disappointment in myself. As my life went on, it got to the point where I felt as if I were the worst human alive, that there wasn't a single admirable quality about me. In the midst of all this, I was rapidly gaining weight due to an undiagnosed thyroid condition, despite being sick skinny nearly my entire life. In the span of 1 year, I went from nearly being underweight to viewing myself as the size of a hippo. My insecurities multiplied by 1,000,000, and I felt as if my whole days revolved around what parts of myself I hated in that moment. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without identifying new problem areas. I despised getting up every morning and looking down and seeing what I considered to be horrendous amounts of fat on my thighs, my stomach, arms, any place you could name. If a friend took a picture of me in class at a bad angle and jokingly sent it to me, my day would instantly be ruined at the sight of my double chin. It didn't help that when I went on social media, all I could see were people with seemingly flawless bodies, and so many nights I would cry myself to sleep wishing I looked like that. This went on for years, and at one point I stopped seeing it as strange. In my mind, it was a common occurrence to have self-deprecating comments running through my head on repeat, and I just assumed that I deserved it. I didn't question it at all until one day a few months ago, I saw a cute Instagram post with the caption, "Name one thing you love about yourself." And I tried to think of something and think and think. And now one thing came to mind. I tried to list all the qualities people had ever complimented me over in my mind, but not one of them was good enough for me. I was too fat to say anything positive about my body, had too bad acne to say anything good about my brace. At the time, I still had braces, so I couldn't say anything nice about my smile. And I kept thinking and thinking, struggling to come up with one thing I loved about myself. And that was one moment in my life that kind of opened my eyes. How could I not love one thing about myself? Everyone has to have one thing they're happy with about themselves, but I had just spent days thinking about it, and I couldn't even say something as simple as my eye color. I'd accomplished so much in life, but in my mind, none of that was worthy of praise. I realized in that moment that if I continued to view myself like that, no matter how much I accomplished, I would never be content. I could lose so much weight and have the clearest skin, but if I didn't change my mindset, I would always hate myself. One thing many people have jokingly told me is that I can't take a compliment for the life of me. What I once considered a funny comment, after having this revelation, I realized was much more deep-rooted than just not liking them. I was bad at accepting compliments because I genuinely believed that I wasn't worthy of them. Everything someone would compliment me on, in the back of my mind, a little voice would say, "They're lying. They don't actually believe that." Because I didn't believe anything about myself was worthy of praise. And that's still something that I struggle with to this day. Accepting that there are parts of myself that people admire and that I should be proud of those. But the change from the past is, now I'm working towards getting better. Part of growing up and maturing is realizing that you're allowed to be proud of yourself and that your failures don't define you. All the positive energy you give to others shouldn't mean that you have none left for yourself. Even though I had this revelation, I still have a long way to go, but I decided to take the first steps. This journey is still continuing to this day, and I know that one day my future self will be proud of me for making the decision to value my actions, my personality, myself. And for all of you in the audience, statistically 95% of you have felt insecure at one point in your life. And I hope that this talk serves to help some of y'all out there recognize that maybe self-love is something that you struggle with as well. So for all of you here, you can take the first steps today, and I, as well as so many others, will be with you every single step of the way until one day you can say that you're proud of who you are. And I'm going to end this talk doing just that, holding myself accountable for my words. I'm making the decision to love myself, and I hope that you will too. Thank you all so much.